To everyone else, this is a task. But to you, this is opportunity.
Switch to Boost Mobile and get the Coach Prime Moto G5G for $29.99 at boostmobile.com. The Boost Mobile network, together with our roaming partners, covers 99% of the U.S. population. Moto G5G for $29.99 when you switch with a new Unlimited Plus or Unlimited Premium plan activation. Online only. Taxes extra. All prices, fees, features, functionality, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit boostmobile.com for details.
Am I doing the right thing with my finances? Am I saving enough? Can I buy a house? Am I paying too much in taxes? Will I be able to retire? Putting a financial plan together feels impossible. What if I told you there was another way? Take Facet's free financial wellness quiz to get your score and a snapshot of your current financial health. Visit Facet.com now and discover your financial wellness score today. That's FACET.com.
This ad is sponsored by Facet. Facet Wealth Incorporated is an SEC registered investment advisor. This is not an offer to buy or sell securities, nor is it investment, legal, or tax advice.
Hello and welcome to mini episode 398 of Real Life Ghost Stories. And I have two spooky stories for you today, and the last story comes from the 4th of October 2024. And story number 1 comes from Erica. I had written to your podcast recently about Fremantle Prison in Perth, Australia, and the weird mimic situation involving my mum. I have many more stories to tell you, so here are a few more of my favourites. The first story happened a few weeks ago. My room is on the very far end of the house, and my mum's room is on the complete opposite end at the front of the house. One night I was sitting in my room alone and I got a text from my mum that read, "Yes, one moment, I'm just in the shower." Confused by this, I went down to her room. Enough time later that she was now out of the shower and asked what it meant. She told me that she heard me as clear as day outside of her bathroom door say, "Mum, can you come out here please?" Not wanting to shout out over the water, she reached down, grabbed her phone and shot me a text. I then told her that no, I didn't come down and say that. I had been in my room the whole time with my AirPods in. We were both pretty spooked by this, and I still think about it to this day. Because if it wasn't just a weird trick of her ears and it was a mimic, what would have happened if she opened the door? The next story happened at my friend's house during a sleepover. We were in her lounge room watching movies, and the room was only lit by the TV, which was also the only light on in the whole house. I had to use the bathroom, so I walked out of her lounge room and headed down her dark hallway to the toilet. The doors to the lounge room were glass, so my friend could see out of them. When I came back from the toilet, she looked petrified. She was curled up under her blanket with only her terrified face peering out. I asked her what was wrong, and she told me that she watched me walk down the hallway. She saw me, my own shadow, and then a second shadow following behind me. She told me that this second shadow was taller than my own one and had really long, lanky limbs and was moving almost cartoonish and funnily flailing its arms and legs as it walked behind me. Safe to say, we both did not sleep that night. The next few stories have to do with clairvoyance and things of the like. When my mum was in her 20s, she went to a meditation group. One of the exercises they did was to all sit in a circle, close their eyes and describe in order what they could see. My mum pictured her dad skipping over to her in the funny way he does, and she wanted to keep it to herself. So when it was her turn to share what she had seen, she decided to make up something else entirely. She described a tall, tanned man in short yellow shorts with short brown hair, a white tank top and a cigarette in his mouth. My mum came up with this completely randomly and off the top of her head in the moment. However, the woman sitting next to her immediately burst into tears and explained that it was the exact description of her husband who had recently passed away. Another situation with my mum happened after my grandma's best friend's son passed away. Margaret was going away on an overseas trip, and one night my mum had a vivid dream of Margaret's son telling her that he was going to be there on the plane with Margaret to protect her. My mum woke up and begged my grandma to call Margaret and tell her about the dream, as a source of comfort. When Margaret returned from the trip, she called my grandma and let her know that when she was on the plane, every single seat was filled up except for the seat next to her. Only one seat on the entire plane was empty, and it was next to her. She knew it was her son and wanted to thank my mum for telling her. This next one is about my beloved childhood dog, who I had received as a gift on my 6th birthday, named Tinkerbell, who we liked to think chose me when we first met the litter of puppies. Tinkerbell unfortunately died a few years back. In December of last year, I had a dream that she came and visited me and my mum as a ghost puppy or an angel puppy. In the dream, she appeared and excitedly jumped all over us. We both knew in the dream that it was a visitation and were excited to see her after all these years. When I woke up in the morning, my mum reminded me that it was the anniversary of her death. I had no idea because I'm terrible with dates, so I love to think that she really was visiting me to say hi on her anniversary. Recently I had sleep paralysis and it was the first time that it happened to me. I was struggling to wake out of it when all of a sudden I felt my grandma, who had passed away, sit down on the bed next to me. And then I felt my cat, who also passed, climb onto my back and start purring. I could immediately feel movement in my limbs come back, and I was able to get out of it. I like to imagine that they were there to help me. Finally, my last story isn't so much paranormal, but a weird coincidence that happened just today, prompting me to write in again. I was listening to number 347 mini episode, The Ballroom Upstairs, when a few minutes in, for some reason, your story about the guitar strum outside of your bedroom window popped into my head. I thought about it for a second, but didn't pay much mind to it until later on in the episode, around 16 minutes in. The listener writing in, Kaylee, mentioned your guitar strum story and her hearing the chime sound. I thought it was so strange that it had randomly popped into my head right before she had mentioned it. I don't know, it was just weird. Nothing else has happened yet in relation to the paranormal, other than my asshole cat peering on its hind legs out into my dark, scary hallway from my bed in the middle of the night. Or my bird, who knows how to say my nickname, deciding to creepily say, Jay, when I was half asleep walking to the toilet in the middle of the night in the pitch black house. I think I almost shit myself thinking it was some kind of entity calling my name next to me, only to see my bird standing there almost smugly looking at me when I turned on the light. Honestly, animals are massive dickheads. I think we can safely say that. We are all aware of this. Animals and entities work together to make our lives miserable. That is a fact. But going back to the beginning, like, your mom must have been really sure that she heard you, you know, considering she stepped out of the shower, got her phone, sent you a text. You know what I mean? That this wasn't like did I just hear something? Did I just hear a noise while she was in the shower? She must have heard you say, Mum, can you come out here, please? And I wonder if that voice came from closer than outside the room, if that makes sense. Because how would she have heard it over the sound of the water outside the room and not wanted to shout back, if you know what I mean? I wonder, did it come from inside the room? And it is that age-old question, you know, what happens if you follow a mimic? What happens if you open the door? And as for your second story, like, I can see why you and your friend are absolutely terrified, right? And I'm absolutely not trying to take away from that. But all I could picture in my brain when you said that the shadow that followed you was really lanky and was moving almost cartoonish and funnily flailing its arms. I mean, I don't know if only millennials will appreciate this, but this was all I could think of. Hang on, I'm pressing play on YouTube right now. Okay, we're stopping that there. If you are a fellow millennial, I think I'm a millennial. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I am. But if you are a fellow millennial, that music might have triggered something in your brain, a memory in the recesses of your brain of that video. The video is called Going to the Store. Just YouTube it if you feel so inclined. And that is what it reminded me of when I read that description, that it was, you know, flailing around, flailing its arms and legs. That's all I could think of. It doesn't make it any less scary, right? If I was in that context, I was watching this happening in front of me, I wouldn't be less scared. Although you add that music to the situation, I might be slightly less scared. But in all seriousness, like I don't know what or why this would happen. You know, what is this thing? What is this entity that is flailing around the place with lanky limbs, and why is it happening? Like, did your friend's house have like a history of haunting? Did it have weird stuff happening? Or was it just this one isolated event? And it's so interesting that your mom had these clairvoyant experiences. Like, I wonder if, I don't know, because they do say that clairvoyance and all sorts of other psychic abilities, that they need to be practiced and tuned and honed in on. I wonder if your mom like practiced and tuned it up, if she would be able to engage with it in a more controlled and more frequent way. And whatever your thoughts are on both instances, like the description of the man with the yellow shorts and the seat on the plane, whatever your thoughts are about what happened in those situations, whether it was clairvoyance or whether it was just coincidence, whatever, the fact of the matter is that it brought comfort to both of those people. Similarly with the dream about your childhood dog, like that's such a beautiful thing that it brings you comfort. You get to see your beloved pet again. It's a really beautiful thing. And it's also lovely to think that in moments of sleep paralysis, which I have not experienced, but I can imagine are absolutely terrifying, that in moments of sleep paralysis, that people that you have loved and lost, people who really cared about you, maybe they can swoop in and drag you right out of it. Today's episode is sponsored by Uncommon Goods. Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. Holiday season is almost upon us, I know. It flies around every year, and every year I try and be the best gift giver that I can be. I want to give gifts that spark joy and wonder and delight. I want people to look at the gifts that I get them and think, that is exactly what I wanted. And Uncommon Goods can make the whole process less stressful because they have incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list. Uncommon Goods scour the globe for original, handmade and absolutely remarkable gifts. And I had a good look around the Uncommon Goods website, and there's stuff on there that I really adored. For example, they have a book lover's advent calendar, which is the perfect gift for the book lover in your life. There are also gifts galore for the people in your life who love crafting, or the people in your life who want to get into crafting. There are even a wealth of pickleball related gifts. Now, I didn't know what pickleball was, but now I do, and I'm interested. When you shop at Uncommon Goods, you are supporting artists and small independent businesses. The products are high quality, they are unique, they are often handmade, and they even have gifts that you can personalize. And guess what? With every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to a non-profit partner of your choice, and they have donated more than $3 million to date, which is pretty incredible. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/ghoststories. That's uncommongoods.com/ghoststories for 15% off. Do not miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods. We're all out of the ordinary.
To everyone else, this is a desk. But to you, it's a launch pad. Your starting block. This ain't a desk. This is opportunity.
Switch to Boost Mobile and get the Coach Prime Moto G 5G on us at your local Boost retailer. Moto G 5G on us when you switch with ID verification and new Unlimited Plus or Unlimited Premium plan activation. Taxes extra. All prices, fees, features, functionality, and offers are subject to change without notice. See participating dealers for details.
Hi, I'm Cindy Crawford, and I'm the founder of Meaningful Beauty. When Dr. Sabah and I decided to do a skincare line together, he said to me, we are going to give women meaningful beauty. And I said, that's exactly right. We want to give women meaningful beauty, which means each and every product is meaningful. It has a reason to exist. It's efficacious. You're going to get results. And then you just go out and live your life.
Meaningful Beauty. Confidence is beautiful. Learn more at meaningfulbeauty.com.
So good, so good, so good. Just in and so good. Thousands of winter deals are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. And that means thousands of fresh reasons to rack.
Because we get the latest trends for way less.
Because I've been looking for these.
Because the best deals go fast.
Save big with up to 60% off. Sam Edelman, Sorel, Free People, Cole Haan, and more cold weather finds. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
Hi, who here loves when their nails are perfectly done? Me. I'm Sarah Gibson Tuttle, and I started Olive in June because, let's be real, we all deserve to have gorgeous nails, but who wants to spend a fortune or half their day at the salon? And that's why I created the Mani System, so you can have that salon-perfect manicure right at home. And guess what? The best part? Each mani only costs $2. Yep, you heard me, $2. No more $30, $40, $50 salon trips that eat up your day. Now you can paint your nails whenever you want, wherever you want. And trust me, you're going to be obsessed with your nails and everyone is going to ask you, where did you get your nails done? And here's a little something extra. Head over to oliveandjune.com and get 20% off your first Mani System with code PERFECTMANI20 at oliveandjune.com/PERFECTMANI20. That's code PERFECTMANI20 for 20% off at oliveandjune.com/PERFECTMANI20. You're all set for a nail glow up. Let's get those nails looking fabulous, shall we?
And story number 2 today comes from Clara. I've decided to share my stories about the apartment that I lived in during high school. Living in the apartment was me, my sister, my mom, my little brother who was around 3 or 4 at the time, and my mom's boyfriend. When we first moved in, we had heard stories that someone had died in one of the apartments, but we didn't know which one. I don't know how it started, but I just remember many things happening. For starters, I feel like I'm somewhat in tune with paranormal stuff, and I always felt uncomfortable walking down our narrow, short hallway and in my mom's room. Me and my sister shared a bunk bed in the first room on the right. The hallway then led to the bathroom on the right, all the way down to my mom's bedroom at the end of the hallway. We all spoke to each other about hearing chairs moving and sliding across the kitchen floor at night, yet nobody was out of their rooms. The noise got so loud once when my sister and her friend were home alone that they called us terrified, crying because they thought someone had broken into the house. They mustered up the courage to open the locked room door and check. Nobody was there. Many things happened in the kitchen. We were all sitting in the living room and we had detergent in the centre of the kitchen table. The tall style, so it was at a higher level. We were doing laundry and the laundry room was a walk away, so we had it ready to take with us. Suddenly the detergent went flying so hard off the table that it slammed down and cracked on the floor. We all just ignored it and didn't make a big deal out of it. Another day I came home from school and looked through the open kitchen blind windows. A woman with straight, long black hair was cooking in front of a stove. I walked in and ran to my mom's room to ask her what she was making. She told me she wasn't cooking. And then I made the realization that my mom doesn't even have black hair. She had bleached it, and it was nowhere near as long as the woman's. I would eventually see another thing through a window. This time it was in the living room. My family, with the exception of my sister, had gone grocery shopping. She had stayed home because she didn't feel like going. When we returned, I panicked when I saw through the blinds and dark room the shadow of a man wearing a cowboy hat leaning against the wall. I told my mom to hurry and open the door because I thought someone had broken in and with my sister in the apartment alone. We opened it. The living room was empty. Nobody was home besides my sister who had been in our room. One night my friend spent the night, and when I asked her how she slept, she said, "How could I sleep with all the yelling that woman did last night?" None of us heard any woman yelling. Only her. Another time I was napping on my top bunk, my back facing the wall. My sister, who sleep talks, was on the bottom bunk, and I assumed she was sleeping because out of nowhere I felt a presence looking at me, and I heard a whispery voice say, "Clara," to which I instinctively responded, "What?" My sister then replied, "What?" in her normal voice as well. I said, "Didn't you just call me?" And she said no, she'd been doing her homework on her bed, awake the entire time. During another nap session, our room door swung open. It opened from the hallway into the room, so no wind from our window could have pushed it open. I was so tired at the time that I just said it was the wind, sat up and shut the door with my eyes still closed, refusing to acknowledge what had happened. When I was left alone at home, things happened, but I also didn't want to pay them any mind. My little brother loved balloons, so we always had at least one in our house at all times. The balloons would float through the apartment, but we just assumed it was the wind and that they were losing helium. Yet sometimes they'd make their way from the hallway to the living room. I remember once I was alone in my room when I heard the TV in the living room turn on. I got out and turned it off. After a while I heard it turn on again. I walked out again, and this time I jokingly said, "Thank you," as I sat down and started watching whatever was on the screen. The balloon in the living room started floating about. I was pretty chill with that instance. My breaking point happened when I was home alone after school. I was doing my makeup in the mirror, getting ready to go to my after-school club. The bathroom door was open and I could see into the hallway using the mirror. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a black shadow of what looked like a woman in a long black dress slowly walking down the hallway towards my mom's room. She moved slowly, and I didn't see a detailed face. It was all a black mass, but somehow I knew it was a woman, and that she was wearing a dress. I even remember looking down to the floor and seeing a black tail of the dress dragging along the carpet. Forgetting I was home alone, I laughed and said, "What are you doing?" thinking it was my mom. Until I remembered she said she wouldn't be home, and it hit me that I was all alone. When I tell you I packed up all my stuff and ran for the door, that is an understatement. Later on, my aunt, who suffers from schizophrenia, came to visit. One night I heard her talking to someone in the bathroom when she was in there alone. I could hear her saying things like, "Why are you here? What happened?" She never knew about the woman I saw when I was home alone. Yet when I asked her who she was talking to, she confirmed it was a woman who had died there. She said the woman told her she was killed by her husband. And when I asked her if she was wearing all black and had long black hair, she said yes. After I moved from there were nights where I had nightmares that I was back at that apartment. But the only colours of those dreams were red and black. The lightning was red, to be specific. And I remember chasing a black bunny from under my bunk bed out into the hallway. And there it would change into something more scary. Sadly, those are the only details I remember about the dream. I love this energy of the family just being like, yeah, these things are happening, but we're just going to ignore it. Yeah, somebody died in the apartments, it's fine. You know what, you feel a bit uncomfortable, it's fine, ignore it. Chairs moving around at night time, oh, it's fine, ignore it. Check and see if somebody's broken in. They haven't, fine, move on. Let's pretend it's not happening. Laundry flying off the table or laundry detergent flying off the table. Oh yeah, look, they do that kind of thing. That is my kind of energy and I love it. Less so the woman with the long black hair cooking in front of the stove. You know, that's less good. And then you've got the man in the cowboy hat leaning against the wall. Are those two entities connected? Is the woman with the long hair and the man in the cowboy hat, are those two things connected? Is the woman that your friend heard yelling all night, is that the same entity? Is it the same whispery voice that you heard say, Clara, when you thought it was your sister and it wasn't? Is it the same entity that pushed the door open? You know, and obviously your aunt, who has schizophrenia, was talking to somebody in the bathroom and, you know, it's easy to dismiss that as being part of her mental illness. But then she describes the same woman that you had seen. Interesting. Maybe it is that's what the story is that this woman was murdered in this house by her husband or in this block of flats or whatever, and her entity is still hanging around and that's what you're seeing. Are you also seeing him though? Has he also come back to this place of significance in his life after he has passed away? And it's interesting that the entity that you saw was sort of, the second time around, was just this black mass within a long black dress walking slowly towards your mom's room. Like, are these stone tape theory situations where the house has retained this energy and is spitting it back out again? Or is it that this entity, because her life was cut short there, has never been able to leave? I have to say, scary and all as these stories are, that does make me feel really sad. The idea that you get trapped somewhere because you're so angry about what happened to you, or so sad or shocked about what happened to you when you were alive, what cut your life short. That makes me really sad. But what makes me happy is families with nonchalant attitudes to paranormal activity. Hook that to my veins. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Thank you to Eriqua and Clara for sending in your stories. Remember, the last story came from the 4th of October 2024. And if you would like to send in your story, you can do so by emailing it to reallifeghoststoriespodcast@gmail.com. You can also check out the website reallifeghoststoriespodcast.com. And if you are desperate for some extra content, you can subscribe to the Patreon. That is patreon.com/reallifeghoststories, where for $5 a month or $2 a month, you get access to heaps of extra content, as well as every single main and mini episode completely ad-free. And on that note, I shall see you next time.
To everyone else, this is a desk. But to you, it's a launch pad. Your starting block. This ain't a desk. This is opportunity.
Switch to Boost Mobile and get the Coach Prime Moto G5G on us at your local Boost retailer. Moto G5G on us when you switch with ID verification and new Unlimited Plus or Unlimited Premium plan activation. Taxes extra. All prices, fees, features, functionality, and offers are subject to change without notice. See participating dealers for details.